1984 was a year of famine, industrial accidents, and another change of leadership behind the Iron Curtain. Beyond doubt, a year of momentous happenings. The February death of Soviet leader Yuri Andropov from kidney failure came less than 2 years after he took over from his predecessor, Leonid Brezhnev. The former KGB head, Andropov, left to his successor, Konstantin Chernenko, one or two outstanding matters that needed to be dealt with. When Afghanis in the UK took to the streets to protest against the Soviet occupation of their homeland, it was Chernenko's name that was emblazoned on their banners. In other parts of the UK, the troubles in Afghanistan did not seem as critical as the homegrown issues of Northern Ireland and the terrorism of IRA bombers. In an organised attempt to kill British Prime Minister Maggie Thatcher and as many of her government ministers as possible, the IRA detonated a bomb in the Grand Hotel Brighton, where the Conservative Party were holding their annual conference.
You hear about these atrocities, these bombs. You don't expect them to happen to you. But life must go on, as usual.
The blast narrowly missed the PM, but tragically 5 others were killed. Within weeks, Mrs. Thatcher was present at the funeral of another Prime Minister who was not quite so fortunate at the hands of assailants. Indira Gandhi, who had been at the helm of Indian politics on 2 separate occasions, was shot dead by her own Sikh bodyguards in the garden of the Prime Minister's residence in New Delhi. Although the majority of her Hindu constituents loved her, she had ostracized members of the Sikh community when she ordered troops to storm the Golden Temple to flush out members of a separatist Sikh militant group.
We in Pakistan, their neighbors, joined them in their hour of grief and sorrow.
Mrs. Gandhi was cremated in a state ceremony in front of a crowd of 1.5 million mourners. Her son Rajiv, the new Prime Minister, led other family members in the lighting of the funeral pyre, and the world was left wondering just how this man, who had only been in politics a short time, was going to lead his country of 700 million people. A few weeks later, tragedy struck again in India, when at least 70,000 people were forced to flee from Bhopal, the Indian city where scientists were planning to neutralize poison gas stocks, which had led to the immediate death of more than 3,000 people. Troops and police stood by to control possible looters in the near-empty city, following the gas leak from a pesticides factory owned by the Indian subsidiary of the US multinational company Union Carbide. In the following months, it was estimated from testimonies provided by doctors who rendered medical assistance during the tragedy that over 15,000 were dead in the first month and approximately 20,000 have died in total. 2 decades later, more than 100,000 people have permanent injuries from what is considered as the world's worst industrial disaster. The groundwater around the plant area remains contaminated, and the question of cleaning up the area is still unresolved.
One afternoon, raised this money for the Band-Aid Trust to feed people in Ethiopia.
In response to another tragedy that was unfolding in Africa, Irish punk rocker Bob Geldof got a few of his mates together to record a Christmas song to help raise some money for the refugees from famine in Ethiopia. When the single was released, it was at the time the fastest-selling song in the UK of all time.
We will have to work out exactly what is needed. We'll do that ourselves. We'll consult with all the aid agencies, and we will ensure, in fact, that every penny that people give goes into the mouth of somebody at the other end.
As 1984 drew to a close with the promise of better times ahead for some of the world's less fortunate, it was time to reflect that this year had truly been a year of momentous happenings.